Well, it's Tuesday wrestling, and we all know what that means. That means we get to review NWA Powerrr, AEW Dark, and of course NXT as they enter the fallout after Stand and Deliver. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing the latest GLEAT show, G Pro Wrestling version 48, and they went to do their little trip all the way to Okinawa, just with a smaller group instead of a big group. But also, we got some news updates regarding certain things we need to talk about, such as what matches are being booked, any news that's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with the latest GLEAT show, G Pro Wrestling version 48. This one took place in Okinawa, Japan. Now, this wasn't too much of a big show because they had lesser people they were involved. Now, it opened up with a promo by Bulk Orchestra. Now, since I don't know much what they're saying, but I'm trying to say that they're trying to get the crowd going since they are Okinawa. That's all I can say about that. But our opening match features the Yans family, consistent of Yusuke Kodama and Takanori Ito. They take on Soma Watanabe and, of course, leader of 60 Seconds, Tetsuya Izushi. I thought this match was pretty good because I know that the Yans family are a brand new faction in GLEAT, but um, I like how things were pretty much cohesiveness between both Soma and Izushi. The reason behind that is because if you guys are aware, Soma Watanabe is not involved with any faction whatsoever. I mean, I would be a damn fool if they don't put him in with 60 seconds, but I have to say it was, of course, um, Watanabe who picked up the victory when he did a beautiful double drop kick onto a drop kick onto Kodama and picking up the win. Now I don't know what he said in the promo, but I wouldn't be surprised if he really wants to join 60 seconds. I mean, it would be an interesting thing having someone join in. Now our next match, we got the Yoshi wrestlers taking the ring. First up, we have Michiko Miyagi. She takes on Prominence's very own Akane Fujita. I thought this match was okay, but of course, I will often say that Miyagi is like the top girl in the promotion. There's only of them in three Yoshi wrestlers in, of course, in a GLEAT. Of course, Miyagi's the top. Then there's Yukari, and then of course Maya. But I had a feeling this was going to end with her winning the match when she applied. I don't know if that it was a victory roll she did, but it was good. Next match, we have Yu Izuka taking on El Lindaman. Pretty good match. I can tell that Izuka, who's been a strong competitor, and not to mention he's using submission techniques that could help him put in, but you cannot outweigh the strength of El Lindaman. He was able to overcome all of that and apply a German suplex. One, two, three. Goodbye. Next up, we got Issei Onizuka taking on his former teammate T-Hawk. Now, I don't, as I said before, Onizuka, he seems like he is no longer part of Strong Styles. Now, I never understood why he's no longer with the group. But whatever the reasons were, I'm sure he's not happy with the results that they kicked him out or he was being asked to leave, whatever the scenario. But the match, was pretty good. It was, of course, I love how T Hawk is able to apply any kind of submission to any of his opponents. He applied the Cobra Clutch onto Onizuka, forcing him to tap out. Next up, we got 60 seconds consistent of John Toncho and, of course, once again, Tetsuya Izushi. They take on Minoru Tanaka and Kaz Hayashi. I thought this match was pretty good for many reasons. One, of course, 60 seconds are trying to rise up to the occasion. Since they formed, people say that they will never live up to the expectations what they did, but they do. But however, they have to face two veteran wrestlers, and that's Tanaka and Hayashi. But luckily for them, it was of course a pin. It was of course a pinfall by Toncho on Tahashi that allowed him to pick up the win. Now our main event features Bulk Orchestra members Kaz Sakamoto, Chek Shimatani, and of course Hayato Tamura. However, their opponent is none other than the Black Generation International, consistent of Kotaro Suzuki, Hartley Jackson, and Kaito Ishida. Now, keep in mind, the Black Generation International, or BGI, have been proven time and time again that they run the entire promotion themselves, since Ishida is now the G-Rex champion. But Orchestra has often proven that they're the ones that are still running the show. So it's battle of who really is the ones that control who run the entire GLEAT promotion. And I have to say, I was surprised because normally when it comes to a Black Generation International, they always find ways to pick up their wins without cheating. But in this case, it was a roll up, a jackknife by Chek Hamitani to Jackson to pick up the win. But Ishida was so pissed that the referee counted three. He wanted to know, was it really three? He doesn't think that it was a three. But the referee, at the end, made the call. The match goes to Bulk Orchestra. It was a pretty good show, despite the fact that it was short and small, but nonetheless, it was a good show. Uh, can't wait to see what version 49 will be, but we'll see when we get there. Uh, I think that's pretty much it. So let's move on with NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr. It opened up with the members of Pretty Empowered, Ella Envy, and Roxy. They take on Kylan King and Samantha Starr. Now, as you know, that Pretty Empower are trying to get back on track, try to regain the tag titles they initially lost. Well, they first won and then they lost them after a very short amount of time that they had them. But they had to get through Kylan King, who's been a powerhouse, and of course Samantha Starr, the same thing. Now, you probably would have thought in some capacity the Pretty Empower will pick up, or find ways to win this match. Well, they kind of did when we saw Ella Envy rolled up Samantha Starr and used the tights as leverage to ensure she picked up the win. Now they was stopping nothing to regain what they lost. Not to mention, there was an interview they conducted with May Valentine, telling them that they will be regaining those tag titles soon enough. But we do know that what's her name, Kenzie Page, is in the qualifying matches of the NWA World Television women's title. So we'll get to that at some point down the road. Now, our next match, we have Salazar de la Muerte taking on Homicide. You probably think this is going to be a much simpler match. It is. I never heard of this guy, Salazar, but Homicide did put him away with an avalanche Koji cutter, and boom, just like that, it was completely over. Now, our very own May Valentine's interview with Camille and Kerry Moore. Now, Camille had some words to say about Rosa de la Negra, who is her competitor, who cashed in her champion series for a title shot. So basically, Camille is ready and prepared for it. Now, however, Kerry Moore knows that he has a number one contender, and that is Joe Alonzo, who's obnoxious, been disrespectful, that sort of thing. So he's ready for him one way or the other. Now back to and then of course Rolando's interview with May Valentine. It was said that he will be in a street fight against Aaron Stevens. Now let's get to that match. Man, that match was so brutal. You probably wouldn't expect anything. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. So anyway, this match was brutal. They didn't just take this match in the ring. They went to the back. I don't know what Aaron Stevens was doing. He put him in a shopping cart thinking he's some sort of baby. But I had a feeling that this was going to fall into Aaron Stevens because he used the loaded glove once again. Now, I wouldn't be surprised with this match ended in Aaron Stevens' favor, winning the match by that. That Rolando will get his revenge for all the things that Aaron Stevens did. But we will see when we get there because right now this is going to be interesting. A lot of things are taking place. We got upcoming pay per view and all that. So we'll end it right here with NWA. Let's move on with AEW Dark. Okay, AEW Dark only features 7 matches in case anybody's been asking. So it opened up with Peter Avalon taking on R.A. Fox. Now, this is one of those matches where you probably say, okay, who the possibilities AR Fox could walk away as the victor because he's a bit of a smooth type of wrestler, very crafty, knows how to get off situations where, of course, he has to be a lot smarter. Now, Peter Avalon, he is a bit of an aggressive guy in order to pick up wins, but in this case, it was, of course, AR with a jackknife that allowed him to pick up the win, but he was smart enough to get out of the ring knowing that Peter Avalon would come and get him no matter what. Next up, we got Serpentico taking on, who was it? Willie Mack. Yeah, so Willie Mack has been making plenty more appearances, um, you know, at AEW recently. But just to put this on record because I'm not sure, I can't find any confirmation about this, but they're saying that Willie Mack has signed a deal with AEW. Now, I can't find anything that says that, but if anybody knows information about that, please leave me a comment. I really like to know if it's true or not because I normally we hear this from like let's say from AEW saying themselves that it's 100% confirmed, and then of course, Fightful Select does get the confirmation. You know they've always been very transparent about that. So anyway, the match itself was pretty good, but I like to say that this match had a very good strategy by Serpentico trying to take out the knee out of Willie Mack, but that wasn't enough to put him away until he gave him a sitting power bomb. 1, 2, 3, it's over. Next up, we got Layla Gray taking on Amara. You probably can guess this one was already done, finished with Layla with some sort of underhook of a face first to onto the ring mat, and it was over right from there. Next up, we got Tony Nese and Ari Davari taking on Jay Lucas and Teriyaki. I have to say, some of them there's been a lot of questions that I've been hearing about this particular team, but anyway, the match was pretty good. There was a lot of good cohesiveness between both Ari Davari and Tony Nese, and apparently this one ends with, of course, a very interesting cutter. They tossed Jay Lucas onto Ari Davari. He applied the cutter, and that was it. However, during an interview, they confirmed that yes, Ari Davari is a member of the varsity athletes, but he is the leader of the Trustbusters. So basically, it's more like what we're seeing with how do I say with the Cosmic Angels and Club Venus. Like Mina Shirakawa is still a member of Cosmic Angels, but she's the leader of Club Venus. So that kind of sets it in, but you get the right idea. Our next match, we have Lee Moriarty taking on Invictus Cash. Very interesting, but it was um, Lee Moriarty with the leg lariat that finished off Invictus, giving him the win. Next up, we got Caesar Bononi taking on Evil Uno. This was a very interesting matchup as we've been watching Evil Uno been in how do I say in a lot of singles match ever since Stu Grayson left to AEW, but now he's back. I think we want to see more of some of these wrestlers as individuals, as singles competitors. Maybe that keeps us going, but it took only a pile driver for Evil Uno to put away Caesar Bononi. Now our main event features Kiera Hogan taking on Tony Storm. This match was pretty good, but it just showed how much Toni Storm is far more capable of trying to pick up good wins when she applied a, a Storm Zero, and that was it. She picked up the win. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW Dark. So let's move on with NXT. Okay, our last review, NXT. As you know, we're coming out of Stand and Deliver from this past uh, Saturday. Indy Hartwell, as you know, our brand new NXT Women's Champion, comes out giving a promo and all this and that. However, I had a feeling that someone was going to have some say in this because, in certain capacity, um, people with some other like wrestlers would say Indy Hartwell doesn't deserve to be champion. She's gonna have the shortest reigning, and that person turned out to be Zoe Starks. She even made some points on that matter. However, Indy Hartwell was willing to prove her wrong by putting the NXT Women's Championship on the line. So that was already been said. Now, we go back to what happened in Stand and Deliver after a very short loss between with the D'Angelo family, Stacks and Tony D'Angelo. They were being pestered by Pretty Deadly, so they got in their faces. So this match ended with them, being in this tag team match. Now, we all would have assumed this would be more of a redemption for the D'Angelo family after losing at Stand and Deliver. But however, the tactics by Pretty Deadly continues to play out. They removed the corner buckle, the corner safety, and onto Stacks, and um but he got Schoolboy. I don't know which one did that. I think it was Wilson, but giving them, oh no, Elton was the one who picked up the win. But of course, this is far from over from the D'Angelo family to Pretty Deadly. Our next match, we have Dijak versus Odyssey Jones. As you know, Dijak is on the verge of getting back on track, branding his own brand of justice. This is a big match that I think it was pretty good because it showed Dijak no matter how big the opponents are, that sooner or later they're going to fall. And he applied a moonsault to give him the win. Now, we saw what happened at the triple threat match for the NXT Tag Team titles. We saw the return of Joe Coffey. Now, Joe Coffey didn't give specifics on what his plans are. Now we do know that his brother Mark and Wolfgang are the current NXT Tag Team Champions. Now, if I was Joe Coffey, I would presume he would definitely want to go for the top title, which is the title that Carmelo Hayes has. So, because they always say that this is their kingdom and they're going back on top. That's something I do know probably going to see down the line. Our next match, we have Nathan Frazier versus Dragon Lee. Now, before the match even started, we saw a familiar face. We're talking about the supernova himself. How do I say? Noam Dar, who we haven't seen since NXT UK was this deactivated. He brought with him the NXT UK's Heritage Cup. It seems like he's bringing this uh, particular title with him. However, he's looking for someone who he thinks that could take him on. Now we know Nathan Frazier has challenged for this title before. However, Dragon Lee is the unknown wrestler. I thought this match with Nathan Frazier and Dragon Lee was amazing, and of course, Dragon Lee picked up the good win. But I don't think Noam Dar is impressed by him. I think he's like, what did this guy know? He's just a guy from Mexico. I think that's the story tells, but we'll see what happens then. Now, as you know, Chase U came out of a good victory over what happened at the pre-show Stand and Deliver. Um, Duke Hudson became like the hero in some capacity, knowing that he tricked, of course, what's their name, Schism. So Schism or I don't know what Schism gonna do now, as you know, because recently we did know that the dyad is no longer has been released, but we'll see what happens then. Now we do see an interview with Wesley. Now Wesley came off a very tough battle facing four other competitors. Axiom, um, Ilya Dragunov, JD McDonough, and Dragon Lee. He made good compliments about them, like JD McDonough. Oh man, he knows what he's capable of trying to tear you apart. Uh, Ilya Dragunov, he mentioned how much of a beast. Dragon Lee, phenomenal. But the one person that kind of got to him, was mostly impressed, was Axiom. So he decided to give Axiom another opportunity because I think many fans would like to see, okay, how will this go between them? Well, that kind of sets it in. But right now, let's move on to our next match. We have the NXT Women's Title between Zoe Starks and Indy Hartwell. Now, Zoe Starks is trying to prove that Indy Hartwell's reign will be short and sweet, but however, Indy refuses to get the back down from anything that Zoe Stark said. But she pulled a pretty good win when she applied the crucifix, and she was smart enough to get out of the ring, knowing that Zoe Starks would definitely try to hurt her. So, but it was a good win nonetheless. However, we had you probably thought, okay, that was the end of it. But here comes Tiffany Stratton, who is now taking claim that that title will belong to her, that title is meant for her. But unexpectedly, the resident mean girl, who we haven't seen for quite some time, Coral J, shows up, and she tells Tiffany Stratton that belt is mine. So basically, telling, giving the notification that. But you can tell by Tiffany's eyes, like, whatever, no way, bitch. I think that's how she looks at it. However, apparently because of her arrival, someone else has issue towards her, and that is none other than Lyria Valkyria. If you guys remember clearly, last year, Valkyria was eliminated during a battle royal match, all thanks to Cora Jade. So that was what really happened. Now, it appears there's trouble in paradise between all parties of Kiana James, Brooks Jensen, Fallon Henley, and uh, Josh Briggs. As you know, Fallon Henley believes that Kiana James is being totally infidelity with Jensen, but Jensen is trying so hard, try to not start a problem with them, but apparently things are not going so well. So they don't know what to do. So it seems things could go south at, as we expect. But we do know they are expected to have a rematch for the tag titles. Now, our next match, we have Ivy now taking on Tatum Paxley. As you know, this was payback for what happened 3 weeks ago. Tatum Paxley turned her back on Ivy Nile for some odd reason, and then she tells that they were never teammates to begin with. But however, Ivy Nile did not give up. But there was moments I did notice how Tatum was able to, how do I say, divert certain techniques that would be simpler for her to avoid from Ivy Nile. But however, she couldn't avoid the Dragon Sleeper, and it was over right from there. And of course, celebrating with her is, of course, what's their name? The Creed brothers. So it's a pretty good moment for her. Now, our next interview we have is Ilya Dragunov talking about, he knows that he came short in all this, but he loves everything that has been happening. But apparently, someone decided to speak out to take him out, and that is, of course, Von Wagner. Now, he decided to put himself in a match against him, but Mr. Stone doesn't seem like he's too amused by this whole thing with him. But however, he said he'll give him this match under one condition. If he doesn't win his match against Ilya Dragunov, he and Wagner are done. So basically, he'll walk away. That's going to be a very interesting thing because we know that Von Wagner refuses to listen to Mr. Stone to guide him to where he needs to go, but that's his own fault. Hopefully, this ultimatum does get him to that, but we'll see. Now, our main event is the North American Championship, Axiom versus Wesley. Oh man, this one was tore down the house like I would have expected. It was amazing. Now, I was expecting a lot of super kicks, a lot of high flying. That's exactly what happened, but Wesley was able to divert away from the golden ratio and applied the cardiac kick in order to give them the win. So basically, it was a pretty good match. I don't think this is one of the best matches that I've ever seen Axiom in. But of course, Wesley showed the respect, gave him the respect that he deserves, like telling people to give him the standing ovation that he threw in a pretty good match. But however, apparently his little moment was being ruined by none other than a guy who attacked him one time, Scripps. But luckily, Axiom was prepared and boom, super kicked. Just like that. But he did tell Scripps that he's going to expose him for who he is. So can't wait to see that. Now, as you know, we have a brand new NXT champion, Carmelo Hayes, along with Trick. He gave out his little promo, and then here comes Braun Breaker. At first, we presumed that he was going to give out his respect to him, and then all of a sudden, what we expected, he turned heel. And I think that's something that many fans possibly were expecting because in the last month or so of his run, there has been a lot of boos, and I think that could have led to the whole thing for him to turn heel. I'm not 100% sure, but if that was the case, I think that's the direction that they're going to go with him now. So we'll see how things go with him as a heel. And I think that's pretty much it right now with NXT. I believe we're done with every review we got. So let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, this is what we have so far. Now, if you guys are going to be watching the Queen of Indies, this latest show that's being done, this also being sponsored by YoshiPod, they announced for some matches involving on that particular day. Now, we're going to have a special attraction match, as they call it. We have Sandra Moon teaming up with Takumi Iroha and Shigusa Nagayo. Now, Sandra Moon has won the opportunity to travel to Japan. I think that's what I heard. But their opponents will be Lady Apache, Nicole Savoy, and Charisma. Now, Mio Momono has been announced that she'll be there. How do I say it? She'll be in facing off the winner of a tryout. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, 4 matches have been announced in the first round of the tournament. We have Queen Aminata taking on Maria, Lady Frost taking on Dulce Tormenta, Hyan versus Masha Slamovich, and then finally, I think this one I'm very excited for, Billy Starks versus Kid Unagi Sayaka. So I'm excited for that. So hope everybody is. Now, DPW has announced for 2 particular matches taking place on April 16th. We have the women's title will be on the line. Emi Sakura will defend it against Hyan. But however, whoever walks out of this match will be representing a DPW at the crossover event with Gatomu. So that is a very important match. Then, of course, we have Nicole Matthews, who will be in action taking on the Pink Striker, Miyu Yamashita. So these 2 matches will take place on the 16th of April, very soon by DPW. Now, Black Label Pro as announced for their upcoming events, for the upcoming event, Square Circle Expo. Fortunately, Billy Starks is unable to appear for this particular show. Whatever reasons, they have been given specific details. However, they say they will find a replacement for her opponent, Su Young, which is going to be interesting. But they did announce that there's going to be a match be set for this. Myron Reed will be facing off against Isaiah Moore. Now, this is another interesting thing that took place during the weekend. This was reported by PW Insider. Melina, as you know, she was at WrestleCon, but she did attend. Was at the backstage area for SmackDown. Now, from what happened afterwards, they're saying that there was a bit of an altercation at the hotel where she was staying, but apparently she was kicked out of the hotel room. But that's not done. And there, apparently, she was no longer welcome to do the remaining days of the signing in WrestleCon. So basically, she was kicked out. Now, We don't know for sure if, much like what happened to Rick Steiner, is Melina going to be banned? We don't know. But I'm just going to presume they just don't want her around because after what happened. So, kind of interesting things took place on that day. But yeah. Now, I don't know if this applies in WWF updates, but this is sort of relates to certain things that people were speculating or people you may not be. Now, people expected one particular person to make their appearance in WWE, and probably some of you already thought the same thing too. We're talking about the Switchblade Jay White. Now, we do know that he was a possibility that he would be heading to WWE or AEW, but it appears that doesn't seem like it's not the case. Apparently, WWE made no discussions about having him around, but we don't know what's the specific reasons why. I mean, we know that he can deliver. We know he is the kind of wrestler they definitely would want, but no discussion was made about bringing him in. So, but there's those that talk about maybe Jay White has no interest due to the fact that Vince is back, because that's something people can talk about. But yeah, now wrestling fan, as you know, Stephen ML, who has wrestled in WWE before, did stated that WWE ruined both his nights. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, he is good friends with Cody Rhodes, and apparently he was not happy how the things are. So I don't blame Stephen ML how he feels, but that's pretty much what happened. So that's kind of tough to call. Now, GLEAT Pro Wrestling version 50 has been announced on the 23rd of April, but they announced Drew Parker will be making his first appearance in the promotion, so I'm kind of excited for this. Fightful Select reports they had a bit of an interview with Brock Lesnar, and he said that he wants one particular match to happen, and he knows that this match can be delivered, and that is the opponent he wants is Gunther. I'm like, let's effing go. Make it happen. I'm sure many of you will want that. That's going to be a good match to watch. Now, Pro Wrestling Freedoms has announced for their upcoming event in Corkin Hall on the 24th. Um, Apparently, Suzuki is on a verge trying to defeat the one person she hasn't beaten yet, and that is Jun Kasai. So she put herself in a fluorescent death match. So this is going to be interesting. Now, as you know, Yu is the current Pro Wrestling Eve International Champion. She will put her title on the line at Pro Wrestling Freedoms, taking on Suzuki's teammate, Kurume Hirage. So that's going to be a good match to watch. For upcoming event on the 29th of April for Prestige Wrestling Roseland 5, Alan Angels put out a $10,000 bounty on Sonico. This will be money that he'll be using out of his own pocket. He wants Sonico out of commission. The reason is this: Alan Angels has declared himself as the ace of Prestige Wrestling. But however, Sonico has been officially declared as for a long time as the ace. So he feels, sorry, pal, this is my show. You get the fudge out of here. So that's going to be what it is, because we know Sonico did not like what he heard, but we'll see what takes place. GCW has announced that they will be heading back to Brooklyn on 11, but their venue where they'll be at will be new. It's called the Roulette Intermediate or something like that. So this is a brand new venue where they're going to be. Now, save this one for last, because if you guys are big fans of Tokyo Pro Wrestling, then you guys may have heard what happened. It's been announced that Maxine Paler will be returning to Japan. However, she'll be coming alone. Her tag partner for the Wasteland War Party, Heidi, is unable to go due to some visa issues, so she can't be able to make it. But she kind of called out for a tag partner. I'm not sure, because Mr. Haku is having a hard time trying to understand it. And the tag partner that she's calling out, I think this is gonna be fun and interesting. She called out Pam Adejuku. Now, those who are unfamiliarized about this, why is that a little problem? Now, it's not a problem. When Pam Adejuku had her match with Maxine Taylor, she was traumatized. She's been afraid of her since she lost her first encounter, and ever since she came back, returning back to Japan, she continues to chase Palm Adajuku many times over. But luckily, Palm was not in the U.S. For some of the reasons. I know Makito was not happy that she was not in the U.S., but it was. But Palm had her questioning. I'm confused. Like, she's a little bit frightened, but it's still unclear why Max chose Palm out of all people to be her tag partner. It's still unclear, but hopefully we get the answers. But this match will take place on the 22nd of April at the Edion Arena in Osaka. So I'm kind of curious how this match is going to be. So because I wonder how frightened Palm is going to be. I'm really wondering about that. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for now. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do got AEW Dynamite that is still on the top of the list, but however, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to be reviewing. I know we got some of the GCW collective events I haven't seen yet, much such as GCW versus DDT, various others. I'm still gonna get those soon as possible, but I may have to keep the next episode a little bit, maybe either 2 or 3 reviews due to the fact that I got my day job coming up the following day. But we'll see how that plays out. But anything else, that'll be it. So for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.